Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a big day for Rio de Janeiro. There's going to be an exhibition of old photos of our city. Here it is some samples of what we will be seeing at the event. As you can see, these are some beautiful photos of our city. Wait, how could there be buildings like this in 1880? Whoa, what is this? Looks like my mother? And she's holding something rectangular. Looks like a cell phone. My mother? She wasn't even alive in the 19th century. Could she be a time traveler? I knew it. So, if you also got confused by how we could have a photo of my mom in the 19th century holding a phone, please let me explain. All of these photographs you just saw were taken using just an aluminum can. This technique is called pinhole camera and it dates back to the 19th century, but its idea have appeared in the 5th century BC. So what exactly is a pinhole camera? A pinhole camera consists of a photographic paper inserted in an aluminum can, facing a tiny aperture, the pinhole. The light of the scenery passes through the hole, projecting an inverted image on the photosensitive paper, where our image will later be shown. When we look into a scene, what we are seeing is actually the light of the sun reflected by the object, as most of them do not produce light by themselves. Hence, why the image is projected inverted.
This was a quick prototype I made. It's a cardboard box with a tiny hole, simulating a pinhole camera, just to show the behavior of light when passing through a pinhole. And this is the actual view from my window where it was pointed to.
Finally, let's set up this camera. To build this camera, you need these materials. An aluminum can with lid. Actually, prefer to use lids that are not transparent, so there's no leak of light inside of the can. Insulating tape to seal the can, a needle or a tiny nail to make the hole, and of course the photographic paper, where our final image will be displayed.
So, first of all, you need to wash and clean all of your cans. Then, you need to spray the inside of the can with black opaque paint, so that there's no light reflection that will affect our camera. After that, you puncture a little hole in one of the sides of the can.
Bom, agora a gente está indo para um estúdio fotográfico aqui na Lapa, que é o único que ainda faz revelação analógica, porque o processo de inserir o papel fotográfico fotossensível na lata tem que ser feito numa câmara escura, para que não ocorra nenhuma reação química do papel com a luz antes da hora.
So, this is us going into the lab. This is me checking the transparency of the lid. And first of all, I wanted to thank all of the technicians of Speed Lab who were very kind and very helpful in our work. I will be leaving their Instagram in the end of the video. This here is the technician cutting and putting the paper inside of the cameras, and this has to be done in low res light so that the paper will stay clean till we start the experiment. Make sure to seal all of the entrance of light, and there we go.
Agora a gente vai botar nossas câmeras, pinhole, a gente vai apontar para o Monumento dos Pracinhas, ali logo perto da gente. A gente vai começar testando com 1 minuto de exposição, a gente vai abrir a fita que está cobrindo o buraco, vai deixar com 1 minuto e meio de exposição e a gente já vai revelar ali na hora pra gente ver como é que vai ficar a foto e depois a gente vai avaliar se a gente precisa deixar mais tempo ou menos tempo. Agora é deixar 1 minuto e meio. A gente fecha o buraco. Tá fechada a nossa câmera. Vamos lá.
This was our first result, and as you can see, it's an all-black photo, which means the exposure time was greater than it was supposed to be. So for our next try, the exposure time was only about 10 seconds.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fechou. Pronto. Deixamos só 10 segundos para ver se a foto fica um pouco mais nítida, né?
So our second try was still a black photo. So we knew 10 seconds was still a lot of time for exposure.
I forgot to say in the moment that the technician also said to us that maybe it was the diameter of the pinhole that was too large. So instead of opening with a tape the hole, we set up a tape on top of the original hole and used a needle to puncture the tape. So make sure to use a very small nail to make the pinhole, or you can do this and use a tape and a needle instead.
Pois é, tá vendo? Esse negativo, efeito negativo é muito interessante, né?
A gente vai testar de novo apontar para o monumento dos pracinhas, só que dessa vez o furo a gente vai fazer de novo, né, com a agulha, e a gente vai deixar só 5 segundos, porque as primeiras vezes entrou muita claridade e o papel acabou saindo preto. Agora a gente vai tentar enquadrar o Pão de Açúcar e o monumento dos pracinhas ao mesmo tempo. Vamos ver o que vai dar. Agora a gente vai tentar apontando para nossa cameraman, minha querida mãe. Então, vamos lá. As you may have noticed, the final photo is negative, which means the darkest parts are displayed brighter, and what was supposed to be brighter is depicted closer to black. This happens due to the composition of the photographic paper, which normally has 4 layers. There's a white paper base that produces structural support, a barita layer made from barium and strontium sulfate compounds to provide brightening and better contrast to the image. Then, there's the most important layer, the emulsion layer, made of silver halide crystals immersed in gelatin. When photons hit these layers, a chemical reaction occurs in those crystals, creating metallic silver where the light hits. And then there's a supercoat layer made of clear gelatin to prevent scratches in the paper. However, the metallic silver formed in the paper will only be visible after the development process. This process consists of immersing the paper in a developer liquid, which transforms the silver crystals into visible black metallic silver. That means the more light a bit of the paper has received, the darker it will appear in the final image. After that, the paper is placed in a stop bath, usually made by a weak acid, to stop the development process. Then, the paper goes into a fixer that removes the silver crystals that were not exposed to light, so the image becomes permanent and light safe. The image is later washed in water to remove any chemicals left over, and then it's dried. And then your photos are ready to go. So if you want your photos to be positive, there are ways of doing that manually, but we didn't have the time, so I decided to invert them after digitally, as you can see. Concluding, I wanted to state that I chose this topic because I found so interesting to show how science and art can be intertwined, and also to disseminate the process of photograph development. At the end of the making of this video, we got the news of the passing of Sebastião Salgado, a great Brazilian photographer. So this video is also my way of making a tribute to this great icon. And now we're coming to an end. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed doing it. Thanks for watching.